Hey everyone, my name is Ellie. I've been sharing IELTS speaking samples, but today I want to show you how to use them to improve your prep. Without further ado, let's get started. The first tip is do not memorize sample answers. I currently teach IELTS classes, and a lot of students end up coming to me after trying other methods for IELTS speaking. Many of them, especially those who aren't very confident in their English, say, "A lot of people told me to memorize sample answers, but when I'm actually facing the examiner or taking practice tests, I get stuck. And I don't know what to say or how to keep the conversation going." And one of the most common questions I get from my students is, "I memorized all the sample answers, but I feel like it doesn't work for me. What should I do?" But guys, you really shouldn't memorize the sample answers. Let me explain why. The first reason is that you cannot memorize all the sample answers anyway. If you've taken the IELTS a few times, you probably know that while some questions might be similar, you'll never get the exact same ones. That's why just memorizing sample answers isn't the best idea. If you get a slightly different question than you expected, you might freeze up. And since it's already a stressful test, you might be nervous, and stumbling over your words can make things even worse. Fluency is a crucial criterion in IELTS speaking, basically, how smoothly and naturally you can express your thoughts without hesitating too much. Even if you've memorized a really well-written answer, if you hesitate and struggle to say it, it won't sound fluent. So instead of memorizing full sample answers, focus on learning useful words and expressions. That way, you'll be able to answer more naturally and confidently. Another reason you shouldn't memorize sample answers is that the examiners can tell when you've memorized your response. Let's flip it around and think about it this way. If someone learning your language just recites something they memorized versus speaking naturally like in a real conversation, you'd notice the difference right away, right? When IELTS examiners hear a memorized answer, some might ask extra questions to see if the student can actually express their own ideas and opinions, rather than just repeating something they memorized. If not, they might think the student would struggle to adapt to an academic setting in English. IELTS, especially the academic version, is designed to assess whether a student can actively participate in classes, express their opinions, and engage in discussions in an academic setting. That's why many universities require international students to take the IELTS exam. Speaking from experience, foreign universities place a huge emphasis on discussions, presentations, and writing in class. These skills play a major role in your academic success, so speaking and writing abilities are really important not just for the test, but for your actual studies as well. From the examiner's perspective, if they feel that your speaking and writing skills aren't up to par, they might think you'll struggle to succeed in school. That's why you might end up with a lower score than expected. At this point, you're probably wondering, so how should I study then? Don't worry, there are just 3 key things you need to remember. The 3 key things you need to focus on are ideas, structure, and vocabulary. These are the areas you should study through sample answers. First is idea. As I mentioned earlier, you won't get the exact same questions in the IELTS exam. However, there are several general categories of questions that come up. These include questions about people, things, place, memories, events, etc. So for example, if you have your own answers prepared for the people category, you'll be able to answer any question about people that comes up during the test. This is a Part 2 question about someone who buys things at a low price. It's not a difficult question, but it's something we don't often think about. So, even though it seems like an easy question, it can be hard to answer sometimes. In these situations, it's important to get ideas from sample answers. If you look at part of the answer, it mentions seasonal sales and promotional events, and gives Black Friday as an example. Since Black Friday is well known to everyone, no matter their nationality, Even someone hearing about it for the first time will easily understand. So, instead of just memorizing answers, you should study them to learn how to improve your responses. The second thing you need to study through sample answers is the structure of paragraphs. IELTS is a test that requires logical reasoning. To express your opinions and ideas clearly, especially to someone who is hearing them for the first time, your reasoning needs to be strong. It's one thing to know that you need logic, but how do you actually make your ideas logical in English? I'm sure that's what you're wondering. Creating a logical paragraph is actually simpler than you might think. All you need to do is structure it with a claim, a reason, and an example. In English writing and speaking, you start by clearly stating your claim, basically saying, "This is my point." Then, you follow that up with a reason that isn't just a personal opinion, but one based on a clear cause and effect relationship. Finally, to make your point easier to understand for the listener, you give an example from everyday life or something universally relatable. This makes your sentence logical and strong. Let me show you how this works with a sample answer I've provided. This is a sample answer for Part 3 questions. If you look at the structure of the answer, you can see it's built with a clear argument, reasons, examples, and even a counter-argument. It also includes the negative outcomes you might expect if the opposite argument happens, followed by a summary and conclusion. By studying the strong paragraph structure in these sample answers, you can apply it when you're practicing. This will help you make your answers more persuasive and impactful to whoever is listening to your response. The final element you can focus on through sample answers is vocabulary and expressiveness. One of the IELTS assessment criteria is vocabulary. If you use very simple or general words to express your ideas or opinions, it becomes harder to convey your meaning clearly. One of the most common mistakes students make is using the word good for everything. But there are many reasons why something can be good. For example, it's good because it's convenient, it's good because it's warm, it's good because it's cozy, it's good because it's portable. As you can see, there are many different ways to describe why something is good. If you keep using good for everything, the examiner might think that your way of expressing ideas is a bit limited. That's why expressiveness and vocabulary are so important. One effective way to improve is by learning new words and expressions through sample answers. This helps you remember them more naturally and use them more confidently than simply memorizing a word list. Let me show you how you can build your vocabulary and expressiveness with a sample answer. Remember the sample answers we just looked at? In this lesson, we'll focus on learning words and connectives that can help you score higher, even with the same ideas. Expressions like organized, layout, well-lit shelves, and clear signage are things you might forget during the exam if you don't practice them regularly. But if you study these phrases ahead of time and use them in different contexts, your brain and mouth will recall them, even in a stressful situation like the exam. This way, you'll be ready to use them naturally when you need them. It might be difficult to get the IELTS score you want if English feels unfamiliar to you. I know it would be nice to hear things like, "You can easily get the score you want in just 1 month," and I wish I could say that too. Make you feel more confident. But rather than just giving you hope, I want to share real, helpful advice that will actually make a difference. My goal is to help you improve in a way that truly lasts, so you can achieve the score you need and feel confident using English in the future. Think about your native language. You didn't learn it overnight. It took years of practice and exposure from childhood to adulthood, right? Now, speaking English, which is a foreign language, will naturally take time too. And that's completely okay. But no matter what, don't give up. I've been in your shoes and felt frustrated too. But if you see it as a step-by-step process, you'll start to feel less pressure and notice real progress. It may seem impossible at times, but if you keep building little by little every day, you'll definitely develop the ability to speak and write in English. Keep going. I am rooting for you. If you have any questions or concerns about the IELTS exam, feel free to leave a comment below.